Hello, I'm Trey Wasser. Matt, thanks for having us today. I'm the CEO of Dryden Gold Corp. I'm listed on the Vancouver Stock Exchange under the symbol DRY and OTCQB under the symbol DRYGS.
Trey, good to have you here, and also joined by Maura in the background. Right, just want a little kind of catch up. You recently sort of put out an announcement around the kind of next stages of the drill plan, and I phase 5, and I do want to come to that. But I've got to talk to you about Trey, if you don't mind, the markets and how juniors behave in these markets in terms of allocation of capital. I was speaking to a CEO of a company that's produces over 500,000 ounces a year for the last 5 years. He's saying the careful allocation of capital is important for producers, but it's even more critical for juniors. Sounds like a silly thing to say, but when you understand the rationale behind that statement from him is quite good. It's like, it's not just a case of, be smart with, where you drill, how you drill, but also be smart with the data that you're going to create for the market, right? People need to, fall in love with your story. It needs to have sex and sizzle to it, as well as the geological importance. So how are you playing the market at the moment, Trey? Because it's tough out there for all explorers.
Well, look, it's a very difficult business model, the junior explorers. There's no question about that. The market always is very smart these days. They know, can kind of predict where your cash position is and what you've spent and where you're going and when the next time you have to raise capital. And again, in this business model, it's a question of raising capital, and we're fortunate that we have a very strong shareholder base, and so we are able to go back to the well, if you will, when we do need to raise capital. But it's always an overhang, and as you point out, a challenge to get out the kind of news you need in this market to drive the stock higher, versus that overhang of always needing to raise more capital.
Right, but if I look at what you've had certainly some very significant historical high grade results, data that you can look to. You've also drilled and found some high grade systems of your own. Is that enough to help you stand out from the pack? Do you think that's going to give you that leg up that you need?
Well, in this market, I'd have to say, speaking honestly, Matt, we came public just in January at 15 cents a share. The stocks is traded all over the place, as high as 35, 40 cents in the beginning, and back down to 10 cents, and is currently back to 20 cents and back to 10 cents. And luckily we raised enough money on the RTO, $5 million, to help us, with our property payment needs, as well as to put together a very good exploration program. But look, we are trying to be very smart. We're very lucky and to have a technical team that has worked on projects like this in the past and understand that when you have a large property package, you have to have some amount of focus, but on the other hand, you have to be lining up targets in the future. And as we, I think, talk about this more, and Maura steps in here, we talk about what we've learned in this first drill program. And we're going to be finishing that up here in the next 30 days with the final phase, 5 phase of our 2024 spring-summer program. And so we're trying to generate that kind of news, although the market for gold stocks, while gold has been very strong, the market for gold stocks, if you're a producer, has been let's say come out of the woods from a very bad place. Even in January, Newmont Gold was $30. It's $48 today. But if you look at the junior stocks, it's you haven't seen the participation yet. But when everything turns, we think we'll be positioned to turn with it.
Yeah. So I think what we're trying to do, and what we did with the first drill campaign, was to show we had the theories and the ability to find new high grade, to understand the controls of the high grade that was found by predecessors. And what this last phase 5 drill campaign will do is really bring that consistency of high grade. So we found a few new high grade shoots, and the real goal of this is to follow up on those. So now we have good theories and we'll target those. And in the background, we're doing all the good geologic foundational kind of boring, nobody cares, but I do, stuff that will allow us to make a discovery based on this work that we're doing. So it's a balancing act. I think that's what you're trying to ask, Trey. We have to do really good technical work to be able to make a new discovery, but we also know we have some sexy high grade near surface that allows us to drill that, expand that, and kind of show that we can sizzle while we're doing the nerdy stuff to make, I hope, a really big, exciting, significant discovery.
This is exactly where I want to go with you, actually, Maura, because it is getting that balancing act at this stage of your development. Okay, so can we just take a look at what you've done, because I think data is king. Data helps you make your decisions as to how you allocate your capital. So I'm intrigued with what you've learned and why that should be important to me. Okay, I don't mind the nerdy stuff, but maybe I appreciate that the market also, there's a lot of white noise out there. You need to kind of have those standout headlines too. So tell me what you've learned.
So we had 3 major objectives to the first drill campaign: to expand the overall footprint, to understand the high grade controls, and then to test new high grade targets based on those. We were successful on all of those. We did learn a few additional things. We learned that the previous drilling really didn't test the hanging wall and footwall mineralization. They did selective sampling, so they wouldn't sample the entire core. So we learned that there was additional mineralization that had never been sampled or captured before. So we're hoping to see more continuity in the vein systems that we know today based on our drilling and the relogging campaign that is underway right now as well. So that's pretty exciting. We know that there's different host rock that wasn't known before. And we started to see patterns additional from our original hypothesis that are showing controls on high grade gold. So all of those ingredients that we need to do our detective work to find more high grade, we're getting the pieces now. And that will be exciting to go with our drill campaign.
Right. But here's the other kind of challenge that you guys have, right? You've got a big land package, right? And it kind of feels like there's gold in lots of places, and good grade gold as well, and in an area which is, not in the middle of nowhere, right? So a lot of companies come on here and they talk about moose pasture, and you're like, oh man, this is going to be painful, because at no point do I feel this is going to be economic. Yours has that kind of feel to it, and obviously your experience would tell you that as well.
I'll brag a little about that. Like we had a new discovery in our field program last year, and it's basically next to the Trans-Canada Highway. So we expanded that property. It's called Hinman. We tripled the size of it over this year through staking, which is amazing. It wasn't even staked around us. And we're going back there this summer to do more field work, collect more samples, and then, from there, maybe there'll be a fall drill campaign on that, depending on how successful we are. We did reinterpretation of the geophysics there from the new discovery we made. And that, I'll remind you, it was 5 grab samples, 4 of which were over 10 grams per ton. So that's pretty exciting for a reconnaissance program. You don't usually stumble upon that sort of new thing. We found 5 more targets that look very similar geophysically to that. So we'll be doing big mapping program, which is starting this week, and then going forth with that with sampling, and then, exciting things to come from that. But everything we've been learning at Gold Rock, which is in the same belt, we're applying to this new target. So it's very important what we've learned from our drill campaign, even though it's 50 kilometers away, will apply because it's in the same belt. And so the same intersection structures are important, the same controls on mineralization. So it's really, you have to strategically line up all your targets and see what makes sense. But we are very, very lucky with the amount of logistically favorable targets we have. We're right off the highway with that one. We have another that's just off the 502 highway. We're not using helicopters here. We're just walking into these targets or driving right over top of them.
Yeah, this land package is 60,000 hectares. So, while we're a very small microcap company here, we have a land package put together, which we're very close to owning 100% of. We have one more property payment to Alamos, and and a couple of small property payments to some other vendors. But most of the property, we already own 100%. And by this time next year, or spring of next year, we'll own this property 100%. It's a district size scale play. And so it's something that's attractive to it's something only a larger company would generally be able to put together. And we've been able to put that together mostly as a private company. And as you say, it's a big land package, and there's high-grade gold occurrences either through grab samples or drilling or historic mining or trenching from one end of this property to the other. I mean, you almost can't find a piece of this property that doesn't have showings of high-grade gold on it. So the potential is fantastic. And as you said, that we've got the Trans-Canada Highway, the 502 Highway, Canada Power. And one other thing, especially on Hinman, that has really opened this property up. Historically, it was very densely wooded, and there's been forestry going on. So this Hinman property, what makes it so exciting to us is they actually came in a couple of years ago and clear cut this. So we were able to go not only do the geophysics there, like we have the 3D geophysics, but also flew a drone over it recently and see all the outcropping out there. It's all the cover's been stripped off. It's wide open and ready for discovery.
Right, but I'm going to stick with this point though, which comes back. The land package is vast, district-wide potential. District-wide potential requires deep pockets, right? So we've seen a lot of companies who've had that story, and they've had to just adjust slightly, change the business model. There's a company in Brazil, gold company in Brazil, district-wide potential. I've been talking about it for years. They've had to maybe start smaller, look at a smaller project, and the market's got behind that because they understand that. It isn't a case of constant dilution. It feels like a near-term revenue potential to the market. And and their shares have traded accordingly. So for you guys, I mean, I know you understand that, and I know you're excited about all the potential. You can barely take a step without there being some gold out there. I understand that narrative, but how do you say to the market, this isn't going to be a constant exercise of raising capital and dilution? There is some sizzle to this. There's a kind of secret sauce to maybe a model which could work for us to kind of get us through.
Well, we constantly rank and rate the targets based on the size of the prize, the grade, the logistics of how easy. So it's basically the spend to discovery. So I'm always looking at discovery cost, and this project everywhere on it has very low discovery cost because of the great infrastructure. But we're ranking all of those different points of every target. So it's not just, hey, what is more like best? No, it's really very structured. And it's the same process that we used when I worked with Gold Corp. So we've kind of Anna and I have been using this and developed this system for years now to rank and rate targets based on all of the best and important features, including what can you get a social license for? So all of those pieces are in our ranking and rating scheme for these targets.
The other thing is that we're very lucky in that, as you pointed out, the previous operators had one, fabulous high grade hit, 53,000 grams over half a meter, 3,497 grams over 8.5 meters. And this was focused on basically what we call gold rock, which is in the middle, basically about the middle of our property. And it's also, it's located on 7-kilometer strike length of patented claims. So we're able to explore there without permitting requirements. It's where the bulk of the historic mining was done in this camp back at the turn of the century. And it's also, once the previous operator hit that high-grade chute, of the 30,000 meters that has been drilled on this on the entire property, about 20,000 at least, I would say around 20,000 historically, maybe a little more, was focused in one tight area. So we do have a brownfields opportunity that we've been currently working around and expanding the footprint of. And so that's another thing that's very important on this, is while it's a big property and we're ranking all these targets very strategically, we also have a brownfields opportunity here as and that's one thing we hope with this last drill program to start to really, and the relogging, to really show the market that, we have something here that, could be the start of a near-term resource.
Actually, talk to me about the relogging, actually, Maura, because you're talking about potentially 20,000 meters of it, right? So there's a lot there. How reliable is that? And, what are you hoping it will tell you?
Absolutely. So we're lucky that they stored this very well. It's quite organized. I've seen some of these where they're just messes and you can't do anything with it, but this was stored well. So it's just a process of bringing this from its locations in the middle of the bush, putting it on trailers, reboxing, and bringing it to our new core shack location that's on the 502 near our project. So what we're hoping to get from this, we don't right now see continuity because of the selective sampling. We don't actually know how much halo mineralization there is. The predecessor was really focused on vein itself, so they didn't sample either side of that. They didn't sample any of the sheared basalt, which we see running anywhere from 1 gram to 3 grams, where we're in the zone. So we really want to get a better sense of what that halo mineralization is and see if there's better continuity than we can see today. So when we look at our long section of Big Master 2, for example, which is in our deck, you see weird spots where there's holes of lower grade that don't really make sense. We're hoping to fill that in and see better continuity of high grade. And as well, these relogging programs can be very sexy. We have all the regional core as well. We've put together a geologic model for all of Gold Rock and for several of our other targets as well. And as we do the relogging on the regional stuff, if we get lucky like Great Bear, for example, find visible gold, we'll actually understand what it means and how it could be another target. So I hope we have a new discovery to go along with our brownfields target. That's really what I'd like to see with this project. But we also have an excellent project here in the Gold Rock camp.
Right. So it feels like there's a lot of data, a lot of drill data to historic to look
Perfect.
at. You are coming to the end of the kind of phase 5 drill program, are you? Up and coming.
Up and coming, yeah. Starting tomorrow.
Starting tomorrow. And how long does that last for?
About 1,300 meters planned right now. We give ourselves a little wiggle room there. That takes about 2 weeks to drill. And we now have our core shack location, so we'll be drilling and cutting in-house. And so we'll see results starting to come in the fall from that drill campaign.
Right. So, and again, what do you do off the back of that? Because I always come back to this kind of commercial imperative that companies like you have got, and we've talked about it a lot in this conversation, which I've enjoyed, and I understand where I'm coming at it from. But it's kind of like the more data that you build up, the better your decision making should get to a specific end, rather than, as you say, it's a kind of nerd fest of trying to go and try and discover what is going on everywhere all of the time.
Exactly.
So,
that's not helpful.
Not helpful, right? So you understand that. I get it. So with regards to the, when the Space 5 is finished, what do you hope to be able to do in terms of the business starting to package up a concept that the market can understand and wrap its head around, even if it's a stepping stone to greatness further down the line?
And that's exactly what it is. With phase 5, I'd like to show that we can consistently deliver high grade results, that we understand the controls of high grade, and that we can, keep bringing more high grade results. Tying that in with the field program, we'll be able to see where there are opportunities for new discoveries to go along with the brownfields opportunity that we've started to define. So I think people forget that we're a brand new company, only public in January. We've done a lot so far with a small amount of time, people, budget. So we want to show a lot of knowledge, a lot of potential from this, first 6 months of being a company and what we've been able to achieve. And I'm hoping that will really get the buy-in, and, a new discovery is really what we're after.
Matt, let me expand on that a little bit too, because, we've got really 3 things happening. This follow-up drill program on the discoveries, new high-grade shoots that we found or confirmed in that first drill program. We've got the relogging, which, if you're looking at the map that we have that has some of the drill sites I marked an X on it, and this is a map that shows gram meters. So we can't express enough of how the relogging program could be important in this, because it could expand this map to in what is in red on this map is 5 gram meters from surface. And the relogging could really pull this together and start to make it look like we have something here to start with as a near surface type of resource. I'm not saying we're going to pull a resource together with this drill program, but it's going to start to look like that. And I also might point out on this map that there's one of our drill holes from the first phase. It's a white box on there. That hole in the shear volcanics, the hanging wall and footwall that we're talking about, which were not assayed, had over an ounce in both the hanging wall and footwall. So while for the most part it's lower grade stuff, in that high grade, and when you hit the real high grade zones, this hanging wall and footwall could, again, be very exciting. So we've got 3 pieces we'll put together for a fall drill program. That's the follow-up work and confirmation of the newly identified high grade zones, the relogging, which will hopefully, and the drilling and backup to help more identify the areas in between the 2 known high grade zones there. And then the relogging, we think, will help pull together more of this 5 gram material near surface. And then, of course, the field work will open up even more. I mean, the field work will also be done on extensions of this gold rock camp as well as the Hinman. So we really will have a lot of knowledge going into a fall drill program, which we expect to start in September, October, keeping in mind that we drive a pickup truck to most of the drill sites and can, for the most part, drill all year long.
Okay, Maura, here's one for you. You rank stuff, you assess stuff, you rank stuff, right? Give me the 3 most important things that you think investors should know about you when considering making an investment in a company like yours.
Well, right now we're undervalued, so we're a great buy at this price.
I won't even take that as one of your 3 because everyone says that. So,
but it's really
specific to you. What have you got?
Well, what you mean here is it's the optionality in our undervaluation. So while a lot of people say they're undervalued, not many companies have what potentially could be, the same geology as not geology as Great Bear, but as Red Lake. And same kind of rocks, same type of potential as Great Bear. The optionality here, in other words, for how low we are priced at this point compared to the upside of making a significant discovery in this camp, which is certainly, we think, very, very possible. That's the undervaluation.
Okay, yeah. Give me specifics. What have you got? What are you doing? What should we be thinking, Maura?
We have the technical capability to make a new discovery here, and we are doing all of the things you don't see juniors do typically, all the things that a major company does. We have a very robust system, and we hold ourselves to very high standards. You don't always see that, so that differentiates us from the pack. We have excellent infrastructure. In terms of what you want to see in a project, we have excellent infrastructure, lots of high grade, huge potential, as Trey mentioned. It's a district play. This is not something that should be sitting in a junior's hands. This is something that should be sitting in a major's hands. So I say M&A activity, doesn't sound like something that would be out of the realm of possibilities at all, even in the near future. And last, high grade. Who cares about projects that are a gram? We were talking about high grade. We're looking for 10 gram plus material here. It's sexy and easy to access. And what we know so far of this with the metallurgical studies that have been done, it's clean. It's 88% recovered by gravity. So you don't get better than that. So those are the top 3, I would say. And the list can go on about how great this project is, but those are the top 3.
That works for me. Guys, appreciate the update. Give us a shout when you get back from your when the drilling's in and the assays are back, and maybe even see you up at Beaver Creek, where I think you probably have a long line of people waiting to speak to you. Make time for us though, okay? See you soon.
Absolutely. Hi, Matt.
Matt.